I want you to imagine something for a second. Just really put yourself completely in this scenario.
Okay, I'm visualizing it.
You have just won the biggest championship of your entire life. You are out there on the grass. You know, the confetti is sticking to your sweat. The stadium noise is so loud, it's literally vibrating in your chest.
Oh yeah, that ultimate adrenaline rush.
Exactly. You step up to the podium, you lift the trophy, you feel the literal weight of the medals around your neck, and then you fly home to an absolute hero's welcome.
The parades in the streets, the whole country celebrating.
Right, the whole country. For nearly 2 months, you celebrate. You are the undisputed, history-making champion.
I mean, that is the pinnacle of the sport.
It is. Until you wake up one morning, you grab your phone, and you are told that you actually lost.
Which just, well, it's unimaginable.
And it's not because you played a rematch, and not because, like, you failed a doping test.
Right.
It's because a group of executives sitting around a polished table in a boardroom decided to just retroactively erase your victory on paper.
It sounds like an absolute bureaucratic nightmare, to be honest. You have this ultimate jarring disconnect between the physical reality of what actually happened on the field and the administrative reality of a rule book just completely overriding it.
Exactly. And for anyone who has been following the 2026 AFCON final between Senegal and Morocco, you know, this isn't some hypothetical thought experiment.
No, not at all.
This is the exact reality we are living in right now. So today we are taking a deep dive into the completely unprecedented fallout of that match.
And we really need to, because the situation is escalating fast.
It really is. If you watched the final back in January in Rabat, you saw Senegal win. You watched the clock run out. You saw the physical match end with a 1-0 victory for the Teranga Lions.
Yep, the physical match.
Right. But the true outcome of that tournament has entirely left the soccer pitch. It is now being fiercely contested in the legal arena.
And the timeline here is what makes this so incredibly urgent for us to talk about, because just yesterday, Thursday, March 25, 2026, CAS over in Lausanne officially registered Senegal's appeal.
The appeal against the decision that stripped them of their title.
Exactly. The legal gears are finally, officially turning.
Which means we are totally bypassing the standard sports commentary for this deep dive.
Yeah, no tactical talk today.
Right, we're not doing tactical breakdowns. We aren't talking about formations or passing accuracy or expected goals. We are putting on our legal hats to conduct a true forensic sport law analysis of this entire situation.
It's fascinating, really.
We're going to examine exactly how a 14-minute protest during stoppage time somehow mutated a 1-0 victory on the grass into a 3-0 administrative defeat on paper.
A total reversal.
And we want to understand what this massive governance failure means for the delicate balance between, you know, sporting merit, the act of actually winning a game by scoring more goals, and administrative authority.
Because this case is rapidly becoming the ultimate stress test for international sports law. I mean, to really grasp why we are looking at a Swiss courtroom in late March to decide the winner of a football match played in January, we have to rewind.
We have to go back to the pitch.
Right, to the very end of that final. We have to look at stoppage time.
The 90 plus 8-minute mark. The incident.
Yep, the catalyst for all of this.
Okay, let's unpack the mechanics of what actually went down. The game is in its absolute dying breaths. The tension is astronomical.
Through the roof.
And a highly controversial penalty call happens, right? And the Senegalese team reacts by walking off the pitch.
Which is an incredibly drastic move.
Yeah, and they don't just, like, step over the touchline to grab some water and yell at the fourth official. They completely halt the game for 14 whole minutes.
14 minutes of dead time in a final.
Right. And to a fan sitting at home or even in the stands, this just looks like a dramatic, highly emotional protest in a high-stakes moment. It's theater.
Exactly. It feels like pure drama.
But in the world of stadium operations and sports governance, walking off the pitch triggers something much more structural, right?
Yeah.
It breaks this concept called operational continuity.
Operational continuity, yes.
Yeah.
It is the invisible spine of any major sporting event.
Okay, break that down for us.
Well, when you are running a continental final, continuity is not a sliding scale. It's not a suggestion. It is a binary switch.
On or off?
Exactly. You are either playing the match or you are not playing the match. When Senegal walked off that pitch for 14 minutes at 90 plus 8, they weren't just making a statement to the referee.
They were stopping the machine.
They were technically severing the fundamental circuit of the event. I mean, they disrupted the broadcasting window, they disrupted the stadium logistics, and most importantly, they broke the contractual reality of the match.
Wow.
Yeah, legal analysts are actually calling this the regulatory trap.
The regulatory trap. Okay, let me make sure I'm really visualizing the mechanics of this. It's kind of like, imagine you're playing in a massive, highly competitive, multiplayer video game tournament.
Okay, I'm with you.
You're in the final round, millions of people are streaming it, and you get furious over what you think is a glitch in the software. So you reach around the desk and you literally unplug your gaming console from the wall.
Just pull the plug.
Exactly. And even if you cool down and plug the machine back in 14 minutes later, boot it up, finish the round, and actually win.
The system logged the disconnect.
Right. You've already violated the core terms of service of the tournament itself. By breaking the continuity of the system, you've compromised your own victory, no matter how many points you score after you plug it back in.
That is a perfect analogy. That's exactly how the governance framework views it. The system just cannot tolerate the arbitrary suspension of its own rules.
Even for a protest.
Even for a protest. When Senegal halted the match for that duration, they technically triggered Articles 84 and 82 of the CAF rulebook.
And what do those say?
Those are the articles dealing specifically with match abandonment and the failure to play. They are written to prevent teams from essentially holding tournaments hostage.
Right.
So what started as a physical, emotional protest on the field instantly mutated into a severe breach of regulatory rigidity. Legally speaking, Senegal handed the governing body a loaded weapon.
But here's where it gets really interesting, and honestly where I have to push back hard on how this was handled on the ground.
Let's hear it.
If Senegal broke a binary rule, if the switch was flipped from on to off the moment they walked away for 14 minutes and triggered Article 84, why did they finish the game?
Well, that is the million-dollar question.
Right, because if you unplug the console, the referee is supposed to disqualify you immediately. Why didn't the CF officials in the stadium just blow the whistle, end the match right then and there at 90+8, and declare the forfeit?
It's a massive contradiction.
It is. Instead, the officials let Senegal come back onto the pitch. They played out the final moments, the final whistle blew, and Senegal walked away with a 1-0 victory.
I did.
They literally set up the podium, they handed them the trophy. So if the rule is as rigid and binary as you're describing, why let the illusion of the match continue?
You are hitting on the exact contradiction that makes this case so unprecedented. And it's the specific question legal scholars are tearing apart right now.
It just doesn't make sense.
Well, why allow the physical reality of the sport to continue if the administrative reality had already doomed it? To understand this, you really have to look at the psychology of stadium management.
Okay, put us in the stadium.
Imagine the scene in Rabat. You have tens of thousands of highly emotional, highly partisan fans packed into a stadium. Tensions are peaking at the 98th minute.
Right.
If a referee abruptly cancels the final of a continental championship right there, in stoppage time, declaring a forfeit because of a walk-off, you are no longer managing a football match.
You are managing a massive security crisis.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You're trying to prevent a full-scale riot.
Yeah, you're trying to prevent a stampede or a literal diplomatic incident in the stands.
Exactly. The officials on the ground likely made a real-time calculation prioritizing human safety and crowd control over immediate administrative compliance.
Which is completely understandable from a safety perspective.
It is. By letting the game finish, they allow the emotional pressure valve of the stadium to release naturally. The fans see a conclusion, the players shake hands, everyone goes home safely.
Right.
But legally, that pragmatic decision on the pitch exposes a massive contradiction in how CAF applied its own framework. Because by allowing the trophy lift, they legitimized the physical result.
They made it real. Which brings us to what is undeniably the most baffling, jaw-dropping part of this entire controversy.
The timeline.
The timeline.
Yeah.
Because if CAF had reconvened the next morning, reviewed the referee's match report, and said, look, we had to finish the game for security reasons, but Senegal technically abandoned the match, so the result is void.
That would be one thing.
That would be totally different, but that didn't happen. It took exactly 57 days.
Unbelievable.
57 days after the final whistle blew, CAF finally invoked Article 84, nullified the result, stripped Senegal of the title, and awarded Morocco a 3-0 administrative forfeit.
It is staggering. In the context of sports governance, we have to categorize this properly. This is a monumental governance failure.
It has to be.
What we are witnessing is the ultimate violent collision between the tangible reality of the sport and the invisible hand of administrative authority.
On one side, you have the historical record of a 1-0 win.
Exactly. You have legendary figures like Sadio Mane and Pape grinding out a victory on the grass, giving their blood and sweat for 90-plus minutes.
And on the other side, you have a boardroom in Cairo deciding 2 whole months later to pull the rug out from under them.
Right.
And 2 months is an absolute eternity in the sports world. After 57 days, the players have long since flown back to their club teams in Europe or wherever.
Oh, yeah. They've moved on to other leagues.
The parades have happened. The championship rings are probably being sized right now. The narrative of the tournament has been written and codified in the minds of millions of fans.
It's history at that point.
It is history.
Yeah.
If this was truly just about a strict clinical adherence to Articles 84 and 82, waiting 57 days to enforce them makes absolutely no sense.
It really doesn't.
It takes 2 minutes to read a rule book. It takes 2 months to negotiate the politics of it. Does a delay of this massive magnitude suggest there is a lot more happening behind closed doors? Because a 57-day lag points to internal boardroom arguments, bureaucratic wheel spinning, and an incredible reluctance to pull the trigger.
And the delay itself is the catalyst for the escalation we are seeing right now.
How so?
Because a swift decision is a ruling. A 57-day delayed decision looks like a negotiation.
Wow. Yes.
And that specific suspicion is what has transformed this from a niche dispute over stoppage time rules into a full-blown international legal and geopolitical crisis.
Because the Senegalese government is now officially involved.
They are?
This has moved way beyond angry fan blogs or football pundits arguing on television. The state has stepped into the fray.
It's a national issue now.
Senegal has officially called for a full corruption probe. They are actively pushing narratives alleging that, quote-unquote, outside influence played a decisive role in this 57-day delayed reversal.
Right, those are heavy allegations.
And it's super important to note here, for you listening, that these are the specific claims and narratives being driven by Dakar. CAF maintains this was a standard, albeit significantly delayed enforcement of their regulatory framework.
Yes, exactly.
We aren't here to validate those corruption allegations or accuse anyone of backroom manipulation. We're strictly reporting what Senegal is saying.
But we do have to look at how those allegations have drastically raised the stakes. Senegal's government getting involved means state resources, state lawyers, and state pressure are now fighting a sports governance body.
It's not just the Football Federation anymore.
No, it escalates it from a sports dispute to a matter of national pride and sovereignty, which is why they bypassed any further internal appeals and took this straight to the absolute highest authority in global sports law.
CAS in Switzerland.
Exactly. But even now, with the appeal officially registered in Lausanne, Senegal has slammed into a massive procedural wall.
Right.
The gears of justice have completely ground to a halt.
Yeah, let's look at this current legal stalemate. Because for all the drama of the 57-day delay, the current reality in the courtroom is surprisingly, well, bureaucratic.
Highly bureaucratic.
CAS officially registered the appeal yesterday, March 25. And from what I understand about CAS, they operate on a highly regimented procedural calendar, right?
Oh, absolutely. Very strict.
They don't do open-ended timelines. Once an appeal is registered, a literal clock starts ticking.
Yep, the countdown begins.
In this specific case, there is a strict 20-day window for the appellant, which is Senegal, to submit their comprehensive appeal brief. They have 20 days to build their entire legal argument.
Which is not a lot of time.
No. But the crazy thing is, they can't actually do it because of something called a reasoned decision bottleneck.
The reasoned decision, yes.
What exactly goes into a reasoned decision? Why is this one document the thing holding up the entire process?
Well, a reasoned decision is essentially the foundational document of any sports law appeal. When CF stripped Senegal the title and awarded the 3-0 forfeit to Morocco, they released the verdict.
They released the final score, essentially.
Right, they gave the final score, so to speak. But what they have not yet released to Senegal or to CAS is the reasoned decision.
And what's in it?
This isn't just a memo. It is a comprehensive, exhaustive legal thesis explaining exactly why and how they applied Article 84 to arrive at that verdict 57 days later.
So it's very detailed.
Extremely. It has to include the referee's match reports, the match commissioner's logs, the minutes from the disciplinary committee meetings, and the exact legal precedents they're relying on.
This is basically showing their math.
That's a great way to set it.
They gave the answer, but they haven't handed in the 50-page document showing exactly how they calculated that answer.
Exactly. They have to justify the 57-day delay within their own legal framework.
Right.
And Drafting a legally bulletproof document that retroactively cancels a continental final is incredibly difficult.
I bet it is.
But here's the critical part. Without that reasoned decision from CAF, the CAS arbitral panel literally cannot move forward.
It's just frozen.
Yes. Senegal cannot draft a defense against an argument they haven't fully seen. They can't attack CAF's logic if CAF hasn't officially published its logic.
So Senegal is essentially trapped in this, like, Kafka-esque bureaucratic catch-22.
Completely trapped.
They've officially appealed the loss of their championship title. The 20-day procedural clock is technically looming right over them, but the Swiss court can't actually hear the appeal, and Senegal's lawyers can't file their brief until the exact same organization that stripped them of the title.
The organization they are actively fighting.
Right, until that organization hands over its own internal paperwork.
That is the precise paradox paralyzing this case right now. Senegal is frozen, waiting for CAF to mathematically and legally explain a decision that took CK 57 days to make in the first place.
It's wild.
And until that heavy packet of documents arrives in Lausanne, the legal battle is trapped in amber. It perfectly illustrates how administrative authority can stall sporting justice simply through procedural inertia.
The paperwork is the weapon.
Exactly. The burden of proof right now is entirely logistical.
It's an incredible situation when you zoom out and just look at the whole timeline. It's genuinely dizzying.
It really is.
I mean, we started on the grass in Rabat with a 14-minute stoppage time walk-off. A deeply emotional, high-stakes protest at the 90-plus 8-minute mark of a continental final.
A moment of pure passion.
Right, and that single heat-of-the-moment action flipped the binary switch of operational continuity, springing a regulatory trap.
Yep, Articles 84 and 82.
But instead of the officials dealing with it on the pitch and risking a stadium security crisis, the governing body allowed the match to finish.
They chose safety over rules in the moment.
They allowed Senegal to win 1-0. They let them lift the trophy and celebrate for nearly 2 months. And then, a staggering 57 days later, they dropped the hammer, invoking Article 84 to hand down a 3-0 administrative forfeit.
And that brings us to exactly where we are today, March 26, 2026.
Right.
Sitting at a complete standstill in Lausanne, staring down a 20-day procedural window, waiting for a delayed, reasoned decision to explain a governance failure that has now sparked international corruption probes.
It all comes back to that central philosophical tension we laid out at the beginning of this deep dive.
Sporting merit versus administrative authority.
Exactly. When you strip away all the acronyms and the procedural timelines, you are left with a really fundamental question.
Which is?
Is a championship ultimately won with a ball, sweating it out on the grass, or is it won with a rule book, debated by executives in a boardroom long after the stadium lights have been turned off?
And how CAS ultimately rules on this won't just decide who gets to keep the 2026 AFCON trophy.
No, it's bigger than that.
It will set an ironclad precedent for the future of global sports. It will legally define exactly how heavily and how late administrative bodies can retroactively enforce their authority over the physical events of a match.
Which leaves you with a really unsettling thought to chew on as we wrap this up today. As administrative sports law becomes increasingly weaponized, as we've clearly seen with this unprecedented 57-day delay, and the rigid invocation of Article 84, how is this going to fundamentally change the psychology of the athletes themselves?
That's a great point.
I mean, think about it. If you are a team captain in a major final 5 years from now, and a terrible, potentially game-ruining call is made, how do you react?
You'd have to hesitate.
Right. Will captains need to calculate complex legal risks, like high-priced paralegals, before making a split-second, highly emotional decision to protest?
Might have to.
Because if stepping off the pitch for 14 minutes means losing your championship 2 months later in a Swiss courtroom, that pure, unadulterated feeling of lifting the trophy might never really feel safe again.
Wow. Yeah.
You might win the game on the grass, but you'll always be looking over your shoulder, waiting for the boardroom's second half.